when you look at this, Harris' DNC speech drew 28.9 million viewers, 500,000 more than Trump, Politico says, okay? And if somebody could look at that who doesn't really follow stories closely, they could say, oh my God, that's pretty crazy. Maybe, she has more excitement. Kamala Harris' DNC acceptance speech, 28.9, Trump's 28.4. The speech was notably high for DNC, with MSNBC reporting 7.2 million viewers during the 40-minute address. It's the highest ever for DNC. The 2024 DNC average, 21.8 million viewers over 4 nights, outperforming the RNC 18.9 million viewers. The DNC final night drew 26 million viewers overall, including 6.7 million in the 18 to 54 category, substantial increase compared to the RNC. Despite the strong viewership showing the 2024 DNC average viewership was 200,000 more than the 2020, but 8.2 million less than 2016. Man, that just Hillary Clinton's get beat up no matter where Hillary Clinton's nomination drew 30 million viewers. Oh, was it 8.2 million more? The 2024 convention saw significantly celebrity involvement and network viewership, with MSNBC leading in total audience. Okay, sounds good. Now, the story though was how WAPO says there was a rumor about Beyonce as DNC that fooled the world. Rob, do you have this clip? Do you have this clip about? Yeah, go ahead and play this clip, Rob.
There are rumors that Beyonce might make an appearance. I personally think that that's true, but we shall see.
There are.
We're going to say this now. True.
Weird way to preface.
Can I say this?
Right?
Well, wait. Let's couch it in rumors and rumbling.
Okay, let's just say. So I mean, that's out there. The Beyonce talk.
You have to stay tuned, but I have it on really good word. The Beehive is buzzing right now because the preparation for the Beehive, it has to start early. Sources come from backstage. That's all I'll tell you.
TMZ and The Hill reporting that she will indeed be making a surprise performance on stage here.
Congressman was just dancing along, and he's excited that he's hearing rumors, which a donor confirmed to me that she's also hearing that Beyonce is en route.
President of all things music and fashion and style.
She said, "Oh my God,
you mean is going to show up? Queen Bey,
surprise guest tonight. Beyonce?
I know Beyonce's got to be in town, right? My gosh, is that what we're in for, a Beyonce show tonight?
There are rumors that Beyonce may be there this evening.
We may see Beyonce.
Is the United Center going to be turning into the Beehive tonight? Earlier today, we spoke with Christy George, the executive director of the DNC host committee.
Holding out hope for Beyonce.
Okay,
Is that going to happen? I don't know.
At this point, let me ask you a question. How much of this was leaking to get viewership, or how much of it was last minute Beyonce's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing it, we're out? Which one do you think it is, Tom?
I think the way they manipulate the media, like with the word joy and everything else we've saw, I think this was an intentionally placed rumor. They knew exactly what they were going to do. They were getting the ratings. And I'll say, I did some, I was a group chat, and I was tweeting with some friends at the same time this was happening, and we were watching. So there was a lot of Republicans that were watching, just wondering, okay, what is Kamala actually going to say as she coming out in public? But I think this was an intentional leak, and I think it was strategic.
Yeah.
Amy.
Yeah, I agree. When they teased a special guest, they were talking about Harris. That was the plan all along. I don't think they ever intended for Beyonce to come out. Again, this is just a little bit of a media spin. What I will say, though, is the Beyonce did allow the Harris campaign to use Lemonade, one of her songs, as well as there's one other song, Freedom, as a campaign song. So she hasn't officially disassociated herself with the party or anything. But was she there to support? Was she ever going to be there to support? I don't think so.
No. So how about Taylor Swift? Was there rumors about Taylor Swift as well?
I heard the name mentioned, but not like that.
Yeah.
Was there rumors or no?
There was rumors about it, yes, but I haven't seen anywhere near the amount of media attention given.
But to go this far, and you use, Beyonce, Tom, a Beyonce has to be furious or give permission for you to be able to say something like this. Right? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you, if you're Beyonce, sitting there saying, hey, guys, stop saying that. No, I'm not going to be there. You're confusing everybody. Because there's no way you can even circulate a rumor like that. Mm-hmm. If I'm a figure like Beyonce, that big of a name, there's a part of it that as a businesswoman that she is a business, right? She's a business herself, her brand is. I don't know if I would appreciate it. Even if I'm like, let's just say that's my wife and I'm Jay-Z. I'm like, yo, what are they doing? What's this all about? What do you think about that?
Fully agree with you on that one, Pat. Well, what's the reality? There's only a couple people that actually know answer here, and that is the actual DNC and Beyonce and her people.
Yeah.
The chances of her on her way to the convention and then like makes a wrong turn and doesn't show up, 0. She was either planning on being there or she was not. And this is another example of the media just taking a story and being like, all right, let's go with this one, right, honey? And just feeding the narrative, and then the next company, and I'm sure they're all owned by the same few companies, boom, now they're running with a narrative and they're off to the races. Mm-hmm. But Beyonce knows the truth that she was either never scheduled to be there or she was 100% scheduled to be there and something happened. So the DNC is doing probably something called damage control, where maybe they leaked it and who knows what happened, but the chances that the DNC leaked this and then she decided not to come, I think is very little. And I think this is the media just sort of making a story. But I will say this, the chances of Beyonce voting for Kamala Harris or Trump, I mean, 100%, I don't want to say 199.9, like she's not voting for Trump. She stumped for Hillary in 2016. Her and Jay-Z, I remember seeing a concert, if my memory serves me right, 2016, Jay-Z, Beyonce, they get out there with Barack Obama. I was like, damn, they're bringing out the big guns. Hillary still lost. What's the point? I don't think a lot of people are shifting their votes based on Taylor Swift or Beyonce at all.
Kamala had 28.9. Trump had 28.4. Then a question becomes, how much of the reason why Kamala got 28.9 is because everybody was expecting for Beyonce to perform, and how much of it was people hadn't heard her say anything? They're like, let me just see what she has to say, because there was no primary, there was no debate. This was pretty much the first Democratic debate, essentially, right, to see on the big screen. How much do you think was that?
I would say a bit of both, but what I also think it is, which hasn't been mentioned, is that Republicans are people who oftentimes like to educate themselves about what the opposition is saying. And so for me, I know I watched the speech. I know so many people within my network and my group watched the speech as well, all of which were Republicans. So what percentage of that figure contributes to her getting more views as well? Whereas when it comes to Trump, I don't know any Democrats. And I do have some Democratic friends. I do run it. I intentionally try to surround myself in circles that aren't always echo chambers. So I like to engage in debate, but those people didn't watch Trump's speech at the RNC, So I think that that's a very big point of difference as well that we may be overlooking here.
Tom, what do you think?
I think the audience was about 70% legitimate, and the other 30% was, anticipating Beyonce or wanted to, from new independents and Republicans wanted to hear what was going on. That's my cut.
Got it.
I don't think, listen, at this point, the Republican Party is Trump, and then whatever random people he hodgepodges together. Who are the biggest celebrities there? Hogan, who was my hero in 1992. Kid Rock, who was awesome in 2004. And then who else? Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Republicans don't have the celebrity factor. Democrats do. If, regardless of Beyonce, who else did they have? They had Stevie Wonder, they had John Legend, they had Mindy Kaling, they had multiple Hollywood celebrities. Democrats have that edge. But I don't think it actually moves the needle. Because there was a famous phrase back in when the big three, CBS, NBC, ABC, was basically trying to win the three-legged media war, and they said, win the central time zone. Don't forget that. There's a reason that they picked Tim Walz in the central time zone Midwest. Same with Mike Pence. Same with J.D. Vance, who's from Ohio, Kentucky. So at the end of the day, and I think it was the great philosopher Zach Galifianakis, I think we have a thing from that, but yeah, if you want to go down the Hollywood Beyonce thing, that's not moving the needle. What's moving the needle is, can you win the Rust Belt? Can you win the Midwest? Can you win the central time zone to average, hardworking Americans who are living paycheck to paycheck and are looking for a better solution?
So let me ask this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, did you guys see the performers from day one? Or Adam, did you see the performers that they had on day one of the? So it was all country music artists. And they're not really well-known country music artists, but a lot of people are saying that they tried to utilize this as a way to kind of normalize and sympathize with the average everyday person. But the Democratic Party has already so separated themselves from anything country or anything relatable to that it definitely did not work. But I think that was definitely a way for them to try to get to the average everyday person, because to, Zach's point, which I think we're going to get into, celebrity stuff doesn't always work with the Dems.
I got a question for you. So, okay, is it fair to say the biggest pickup that actually moves the needle in the 2024 election was RFK. Is it fair to say that he was the number one draft pick? Tom, would you say he was the number one draft pick, the biggest pickup?
Absolutely.
Okay, I put him number one. Is it fair to say Musk is 2?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now
I'd say Musk above RFK.
I don't agree with that.
No.
I think it's RFK above Musk, because I believe Musk's following was already going to go that way anyways, because that's the side. I think RFK has an actual 4 to 7% of people that are not going to vote for Trump. I had Brett Weinstein.
They're not going to vote for Trump. They're not going to vote for Kamala.
No, they're not going to vote for Trump. Their vote was RFK. They wanted to vote for. They were not going to do Kamala.
Yes.
Brett Weinstein's here. He says, Patrick, as a lifelong Democrat, I was not going to vote for Kamala. He says, now that I know Bobby is in the Trump administration, that means the values that I value is going to be represented by someone like him. I'm now more comfortable to have Trump, the vote of Trump, right? So who is left? Who is left that if right now you're recruiting, okay, and you're sitting there, if I'm on the team right now, either team, I'm looking at people that we have to go recruit and get. And by the way, some of these guys are going to be strategically based on the battleground states. Some of it's going to be celebrities. Some of it's going to be influencers. Some of it's going to be, who are some of the people that I want to go get on that list?
Tulsi, and do not underestimate Tulsi's impact on a national scale. We're seeing stuff that there's a 0.5 point of women that really lined up with Tulsi, and if Tulsi had been an independent, she would have pulled 1.5 on election day nationally.
Okay, so but Tulsi already endorsed Trump, so she's already part of the team.
But this week, well, what did she do this week where she kind of amplified her position, right? She's been there, but the amplification this week is very real.
For sure. So she made that announcement, so she's on that list.
You're saying people who have not endorsed
yet.
Who
else who hasn't said anything? Who else is on the roster?
Well, if we're going to use the Elon Musk thing, the guy that we talked about at the beginning, Mark Zuckerberg, who basically already came out and said he's not picking a side, but if you can kind of strike a deal with Mark Zuckerberg,
I agree.
He's on my list.
Who else? Who else?
Nikki Haley, but she's already endorsed Trump, but she would be she would move some numbers.
Who else?
You're talking about whoever can move the numbers 1-2%.
I'd say 0.5% is a lot. 0.5%, 1%, some areas top.
I'd say one that would move it is Joe Rogan.
Okay, so Joe Rogan, who else?
Well, Joe Rogan, he said that he endorsed RFK, and there was that whole contentious issue with Trump over that. So now, obviously, he's going to be favoring that side of things. I think that, they're pretty set when it comes to Dems. If anybody is going to change their mind purely on the basis of Dem leadership, then that's already been established, or independent leadership, right? When it comes to Tulsi, when it comes to RFK. Because at the end of the day, you can throw criticisms at Dems all day long. It hits differently when it comes from an actual Dem. And I think even with these couple of people alone, it's kind of set this narrative where now we're at a point where at the end of the day, this election comes down to normal people versus extreme far left fringe people, damn near communists at the end of the day, in my opinion. It's the difference between globalists and patriots. It's the difference between, war and peace. And already with those two people, I'd say that they're already sending that message to the Dems who would have been open to hearing it.
Anybody else you think? Think Hollywood. Think, big followership, big influence. Think Manchin. If Manchin all of a sudden comes out and supports Trump, think names like that.
I think other than the big podcasters and the social media people, I think it has to be women, specifically women of color, who are like, you know what? I'm not going to do the identity politics thing. I'm going to come out and vote Trump. So if you noticed, what's the slut walk girl? Amber Rose came out and spoke at the RNC. She's literally known for being a slut, the slut walk. And she came out and spoke at the RNC, gave her the platform. Why? Because she's a woman of color who basically came out and said, I fell for it. I thought Trump was a racist. My dad told me to do my research. I did my research. Voila, here I am. And can they get more people that are vocal like that? Because as much as Amber Rose...
Who else do you think? Would you have names? Who do you think? I'm asking names.
The Rock has kind of been neutral, but if he came out with a full volume, clear, I am behind Trump and RFK Jr. I think that would be big. He did an interview where he said, well, I'm not going to vote like that again, but he kind of stayed in the middle in that conversation. But if he came out with a definitive statement, I think that moves numbers.
Kim Kardashian, if she came out and supported Trump, that would move numbers. Ariana Grande, if she came out doubtful, came out, supported Trump, that would move numbers.
These are no people
We're
that
the
would be
biggest
like
celebrity females, especially women of color.
Female. Got it.
Has to be. Because, listen, here was the most poignant example of what the hell's going on in America. You ready? Elon Musk retweeted this. You saw this flaming gay guy run around the DNC, and it's amazing what humor and satire can do. When he's like, hey, all right, let me ask you a question. And he goes up to this girl, and he's like, if you had to pick one, what would you pick? Democracy or abortion? And it's like, are we freaking kidding me right now? Like, democracy or abortion? And she's like, oh, that's a tough one. You really put me on the spot. He's like, I know. And she's like, there it is. And she's like, I gotta pick abortion.
You know, he's trolling, right?
1,000,000% trolling.
But he killed it.
He's incredible. But this is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about.
Played rap.
And the delusion.
Would you rather have a democracy or access to abortions?
Either or.
Oh my God, this is a tough one.
I feel like that's a very tough question to answer. I feel like that's almost not possible to answer. I feel like I couldn't pick one or the other.
Even if you had to choose?
If I had to choose?
Can we get a final answer? I know it's hard.
I guess access to abortions.
Yeah. So there we are.
There you go. Well, guess what? I'm going to Siberia where I'm going to live in a Soviet gulag, but at least I can get abortion if I happen to be impregnated by a guard.
But here is the prime example of what you're debating at this point. Democracy or killing some babies. And good luck. And this is why I'm saying you need to get women of color on your team to basically say, hey, listen, honey, I know how much you value, the abortion thing. I get it. I love you. I'm with you. We kind of need a democracy. But unless, and they're not going to listen to men. They need women. That's my point.
All right. So here we go.
So what's more important to you, Pat? Democracy.
That's a tough one.
Think about it.
I mean, that's a tough one. Okay, let me go to this because you wanted to say a few things about Vance. Vance says he expects Trump to would veto a national abortion ban, right? That's pissing a lot of people off, and it's something that they're putting on the left as a fear that here's what he's going to be doing. So Vance stated that he expected Trump would veto a federal abortion ban if he reached his desk, saying, I think he would. He said that explicitly that he would. He emphasized Trump believes the states need to have control over the issue rather than the federal government. Trump's stance on abortion has been criticized by both anti-abortion advocates and Democrats. Trump posted, my administration will be great for women and their reproductive rights, which drew criticism from activists. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris accused Trump of wanting to enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. This is a political story. Adam, one, thoughts on Vance, and then two, about this specific conversation.
Do you want to play this clip, or you want me to give him
if you got the clip, play the clip first. Go for it.
Democrats made the case this week and beyond this week that Donald Trump, if elected, will impose a federal ban on abortion.
Rob, is this pretty much the same thing I just read?
Trump says
Don't worry about it. Adam, go ahead and react to it.
So basically, he came out and shut that down real quick. And look, if we learned anything about the abortion thing from Trump and the Republicans, is they just want to turn it over to the states' rights. Now, in my opinion, respect to you, Governor DeSantis, 6 weeks is extreme, bro. But if you want to go to like sort of socialist, Marxist, communist Europe, whatever you want to call them, they're at 15 weeks. Trump has sort of been quoted at 16-ish weeks. So listen, the reality is this is a culture war issue. It's a contentious issue. J.D. Vance is going to walk the party line. Trump has never came out and said that he's not going to basically do a federal abortion ban. I don't even know if they can do that at this point. So states' rights, totally understand. And if Florida's 6, it's extreme. There's certain states like California, New York, where you can rip the baby out up to the day before it's born. So there's extreme methodologies on each state. And but I don't think that Trump has ever come out and said that he's going to do a federal abortion ban.
Amy.
Well, to be fair, Adam, and I know we've had debates about this before, I think only one of those two things are extreme, and that's just my personal opinion. But I do agree that right now it is it's a strategic and agreeable move for Trump to leave it to the states. I think that this is the least contentious way that he can go about this issue. Obviously, it's not going to be enough for the Dems. At the end of the day, they're going to want him to, overturn Roe versus Wade. They want things to go back to the way that they were, and they're not going to be happy until that happens. So I think playing to that base is honestly a little bit of a lost cause. What can we do other than assuring them that it's gone back to the states? I think that ultimately Republicans are going to have to really win on other issues, but certainly assuring them that, there's not going to be a national abortion ban. Sure, go ahead and assure them of that.
I really struggle with this. And what I struggle with is that things like this, you end up on a slippery slope. And the slippery slope you end up with is all the way down to partial birth abortion. And those are living citizens attempting to be born and being struck down at the moment of birth. Mm-hmm. And I can't go with that. But this is the slippery slope you go on. And there are people that say 6 weeks is extreme. People that say 15 weeks is extreme. I look at it as a deeply personal choice for that woman. But we are a nation that, if you really look at it, abortion is the avoidance of responsibility, because there is a personal responsibility and there's a financial responsibility that comes with raising a child. And, we're stepping away from our responsibilities as a charitable nation to say, children can be put up for adoption. We have systems to do that. We have foster child systems here in America. Why can't we be a nation of love and caring, and to reach out and to help people that say, you know what, I'm going to have a baby. I don't think I'm economically capable. Will you take care of me? And will you assure that this child gets full care? That's where I want to be. Why can't we get the heart of a nation there? Now, during the election, somewhere around, now my logical side, just analyzing the election, somewhere around 6 and 15 weeks, people are going to say, okay, that's, we're good. As long as you give me 6 to 12 weeks, we're good. Give me 6 to 12 weeks. So if something happens, we can take care of this. And that's it. And I think that's going to be the point that the majority of American voters, 51%, are going to want to see. They're going to want to see 6 to 12 weeks. Now then, I'll go somewhere else, and I don't want to relate it only to abortion. Trump is correctly pointing back to what the founding fathers had established as the rights of the states. And if you don't like the state, live in that state. You live in Texas because you don't want certain things with school.
What's the argument against that? Because to me, that's very common sense. That makes sense to me, right? Even if, some states have the gun laws that you can be tougher, you can be this, you can be great. Guess what? It's up to the state. Like, I would never live in Chicago. Exactly. I just would never live in Chicago. I wouldn't feel safe living in Chicago.
And
right?
your kids wouldn't get good education, and you can choose a state you like.
That's right. I wouldn't live in a place like that. So I'm choosing to live in a place. So what's wrong with putting it back to the state? I want to know the counter argument to that. Adam, what is
I can't control you on a national socialist platform. And the socialist platform is to put national control on programs to make single signature decisions.
Too bad.
They want the power. The difference between an executive order to a socialist and dictatorship is zero. You cannot put a cigarette paper between an executive order and the socialist desire for presidential ultimate control.
I think you're looking for what's the counter argument here?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, let me help you out. Well, the reality is,
I really need your help.
I know, Pat.
Please.
I don't want you to.
Without you, God forbid, what would I do?
I was giving you the counter argument that a socialist will say, we have to control and we'll do it nationally.
We have to hear it from an abortion expert.
Yes.
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, despite popular opinion, I know that people like you and me can't have babies. I know that's a controversial situation.
Watch your language.
I know. I don't want to upset the audience right now. Rob, on the other hand, we'll see what happens with this guy. But the reality is 90 to 95% of abortions happen within the first 16 weeks, period. So these extreme things that happen along the 40 weeks, 50 weeks are absolute anomalies. But the reality is there's a similar theme, whether it's the COVID mandates or whether it's the abortion. And that is essentially people saying, hey, government, stay the hell out of my body, stay the hell out of my bedroom, my body, my choice. That's the irony right here. Okay. Where on the right you have, dude, I don't want to take this jab. Why do I have to do this? It's crazy.
Okay, stop. Let me just stop you right there, because I don't want this to be a long answer.
No, I was done.
That's not the answer then. Because to me, it's the state, right? It's not don't do it. It's if you believe you ought to have the freedom to have an abortion up until the 38th week. Let's just say some states decide to, which is insane to me, right? But if a state says that, I can't live in that state. If you want to live in that state, go for it. What's the argument for trying to make it national, where it's a federal, not a state law? What's the argument towards that?
That obviously Roe versus Wade was codified in what years? 1972?
52 years ago.
Okay, whatever the number was.
53 years ago, yeah.
So
54 years ago.
It's a deeply personal and emotional issue. Like, throw logic out the window here. Just think about that for a second.
Got it.
It's a deeply, I mean, we just saw the last clip where the woman struggled picking democracy or access to abortion.
Rob, is there a logical argument to this, Rob?
No.
What, Rob, for you, like Tom, is there any logic to this, or is it just purely my body, my choice, make it a federal ban, make it a federal law, not a state law? There's nothing logical to it.
Well, the left wants, there is nothing logical to it. The left wants the signature to be in the executive order so they could make a national this and a national that.
Why, though?
Because it gives them control. It gives them single pen control. Rather than allowing, oh my gosh, who's talking about eliminating electoral college? The Republicans or Democrats? The Democrats. They want to eliminate the electoral college.
Of course.
Right? I saw a post last night that this guy wrote, and this was legit. He wrote, Wyoming has 600,000 people and 2 senators. California has 41 million people and 2 senators. How is that fair? And I'm like, oh my gosh, did you not take civics in school? So those people are out there.
You're meaning it's in the Constitution is what you mean?
No, the civics lesson is that he said that's unfair, that California should have more senators, when that's exactly why the House of Representatives was set up.
Correct.
The point is, what they're arguing against, Pat, is the states having control over their people. They're arguing against the independence of the states, which the Founding Fathers said was critically important, because the Founding Fathers, listen, why is it called New York? Why is it called New Hampshire? Because they were referring to districts and areas that were somewhere else and that people kind of thought a certain way, and they were giving the states their independence to live as they choose, but they were giving people to move around the borders of the states inside these United States, these 13 colonies, to live where they wanted. And the Founding Fathers got it right. And now people want to take it away so that they have, look, when you look at globalists, they want one world control. What does Klaus want? Control over green laws globally. Well, now you just draw a line from that, Pat, right back down to the hard liberal lems that want a single pen. Do you think AOC wants the new green, bill to be determined by states like Texas with all of its oil? Hell no. She wants the power of a single pen.
Too bad is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's how America was founded.
Precisely. So it doesn't have to be abortion. It can be anything like green energy. They want to control us with a single pen and win one election for president and then control the rest.
Good luck debating with women who are filled with joy and are more focused on emotion of why they should think logically about why Roe versus Wade should be turned to the states. Good luck out there, guys.
Well, that's why they're doing it with this particular issue. They do want to control the pen overall, and this is a much easier issue to do it with than, for example, going green or any type of policies like that, because it's deeply emotive. It's very, very easy when you look at the psychological implications of this, the way it affects women. I've never seen women so emotionally invested in any issue, even when I'm just having everyday conversations with them. Like, this is something that really fires people up, because for them, it's about autonomy over their body. And when they live in a world where they're constantly told they don't have the freedoms and the liberties to be able to make decisions about their life, and the last line of defense that they have is autonomy to their own body, that is so deeply ingrained in their psyche right now that that's like the last thing that they're holding on to, and they're grasping it with everything in their
you know
power.
what I say to that? I respect it. Move to a different state. Move to a different state.
Yeah.
I moved to Florida because guess what? I moved to Texas because California didn't like me. If California is going to say, we think we make better decisions with your money than you do, stay here, we know what's best for you. I said, no, I think I know what's best for my family. We moved. No problem. If you live in a state that doesn't allow you to do that, guess what? Move to a state that allows you to do that. That's what's great.
I
understand what you're going to say. You're going to say, good luck dealing with women emotions and trying to get them with this. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I was going to say, nobody's going to move states, at least from what I perceive, just because on the hypothetical reason that if I get pregnant, this may happen. Yes, maybe some people. So I think a lot of people are going to say, well, I'm in Alabama right now. They've got a sort of archaic abortion rules.
Yeah,
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go fly to California or New York or Illinois, get my abortion done there.
Yeah.
If I can afford it. And because a lot of people who are getting the abortions are sort of low socioeconomic
I lived
people.
in LA.
And then that's what they're going to do.
I lived in LA. For people that didn't have a lot of money to get their teeth done or stuff that they have to do, guess what they would do? They would drive 5 hours and they would go to Mexico to go see a dentist, and it would say 1/5 of the cost.
Is that what we want women doing?
Wait a minute. No, what do you mean? Is that what we want women to do? No, guess what? In every person, the other day we went to dinner. What question did I ask you guys at dinner? What was my first question I asked all you guys? Rob, do you remember the opening question?
Yes. What hill? That one?
What hill are you willing to die on?
Yes.
Okay, you know how many people I've asked that question?
A lot of people.
A lot of people. I ask everybody that question.
Yeah.
Why? I want to know, what's your crusade? What's your cause?
Yeah.
So if somebody sits there, like for example, when you're living in Texas, for a guy like me, what do I lose being in Texas? What do I
Water?
Yeah, exactly. Living in Dallas. What else do I lose living in Dallas, Texas? What do you not get in Dallas, Texas? Okay.
Anything other than freedom and guns.
Yeah, but there's you're not going to like 100% of every policy in every state you're living in. Okay. If I'm living in Florida, you're not going to like 100% of the there's a law in Florida. I'm not even going to talk about it. There's a law in Florida that's pretty much the only state that has this. When it comes down to, Tom, you know what I'm talking about, like certain people you employ, it's ridiculous.
In a good way or bad way?
No, it's not a good way. It's a terrible way. But guess what?
You take the good with the bad.
That's not the hill that I'm willing to die on. So if somebody sits there and says, but that's my hill. If it is, move to the States. That's that. If it's not, guess what? Decide what your top 3 hills are and go die on it if that's your choice.
Yeah.
Make it. For me, it was very simple. I'm a business guy. I'm a capitalist. I don't like to be told what to do on the way I'm raising my kids. You're not going to sit there and tell my kids about what sexuality and all this other stuff. That's the hill I'm willing to die on. I can't live in the state of California. I'm out. If that's not a big problem for you, go for it. Stay there. I actually love the fact that this is being pushed back to the states, and let the emotions happen. Let the frustrations happen. Look, as a business owner, just 100 and something years ago, 20 years ago, what was taxes in U.S.?
Next to nothing.
No, it was zero. Okay. In 1899, 1900s, what was taxes? Zero.
Correct.
As a business owner, you think I like that when I find money and I can rebuild the business and reinvest the business and I create hundreds of jobs, you think it's comfortable knowing that the government is telling me they can do better with my money than me? That's a form of a reproductive right. Are you kidding me? I'm giving up that right to you. Who the hell are you? But guess what? I don't have a choice for that. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to live in a state like this. So does it piss off a job creator? Do you think Elon Musk this year, when he gave his tax bill, what do you think he thinks about when he's paying $11 billion in taxes?
He's thinking about him arguing with Elizabeth Warren back in 2020 about how she's basically saying how billionaires need to be paying more taxes. He's like, I paid more taxes than anybody in the history of the world.
But you know what that means? When you're paying $11 billion to the government, you know what you're thinking about? This $11 billion I just gave to the government is going to get wasted.
Yes.
If I had that $11 billion, you know what I would do with that for my business? I would do X, Y, Z, and create more jobs than the government's going to do. But guess what? Here you go. Go waste the money.
Let me make one
quick
point.
Money. Yeah.
I'm with you because abortion is 0% the hill that I'm going to die on. But I would say the vast majority of women, it is definitely in their top 3.
I know it is. And what I'm saying to you is I think it is going to be an issue, but I do think it needs to go back to the 50 states. I also don't think a 100% ban is the right move. Because forcing everybody that it's got to be a federal thing, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of it is not 50 states, leave it to the states. What's the opposite of what the Dems want? If the Republicans fought to do the complete opposite of what the Dems are doing, what would that be?
You mean like a complete ban of abortion?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's not what they're fighting for.
Guess what, though? That's extreme.
But that's how they're making them feel. They're not going to let you get your abortions, ladies.
But we're not in the business.
We're bringing the bus to come get your vasectomies, guys. Let's go.
That's a problem. For 13 and a half years, I know this sounds kind of weird, I've been working on a fiction book. I've never written a fiction book before until now. It's called The Academy.
Damn.
I've been working on this thing since 2011. It's a story about a kid who gets recruited into a secret society that's been on for a long time that develops the greatest leaders in the world, and you get a chance to go into this vault to learn from different leaders. Imagine having a one-on-one conversation with people that have been dead for many years, but this technology allows you to have a conversation with them, ask them about any issues that's going on. There's 10 characters in this book. Tupac's one of them. Marilyn Monroe's another one. Who else can I tell you? Ayn Rand's in it. Karl Marx is in this book. There's a lot of tense moments. There's one character in the book that's going to be very controversial. The whole idea for these guys in this book is, I've never written a parenting book, but for some of you guys that like a Divergent meets Atlas Shrugged meets maybe, those two books, this is a book you're going to enjoy reading, specifically if you have kids ages 14 to 18, as well as adults. You'll enjoy it as well. This comes out next month, September, The Academy. Rob, if you can put the link below, you can go to Amazon to place the order of this book. We'll be talking more about this here, but for those that order early, you'll get your copies. These things sell out fairly quickly.
Can I see this thing?
Yes, The
It
Academy.
kind of reminds me of the painting, your most famous painting kind of come to life.
So that painting is the book. So you'll see some of the conversations that's being had here.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.